Hello and welcome to the Afterburner Weekly Review. I'm Walter Flanagan.
And I'm Caleb Shaw. Due to some technical difficulties, we'll be doing Week 7 and Week 8 today, and we hope to upload previous weeks, I think it's Week 5 and Week 6, up today. We've had some technical difficulties with our online platform, and I've been out sick with strep throat, and we hope to get on top of things this week.
2 weeks ago in Week 7, the Catholic High Rockets played the Northside Grizzlies at home and won 24-21.
Yeah, we did.
This is a huge comeback win for the Rockets. In the first half, the defense, in my opinion, looked very confused by Northside's option attack. There was bad tackling and just poor execution all around. The offense looked okay, but they were moving the ball, but they only got points on about 1/4 of their drives. Catholic fumbled, but luckily was able to come up with a pick on the very next play, and I think that's where some momentum shifted before halftime. The Rockets went into the locker room down 21-7 in their homecoming game.
So during the practice week, the Rockets, we had a bit of a rough practice week. Coach Fogelman said that we were ready on Wednesday, and obviously our score didn't really show it in the first half. The defense, we practiced the option play, but it's really hard to really show and execute what Northside's option play would do because their option was good. They have a really good running quarterback and a really good tailback, and so that was pretty hard to mimic during practice. Whenever we went into halftime, the coaches were more disappointed in us, and whenever they were yelling at us, it wasn't because they were mad at us, but they knew that we were a better football team. And honestly, the locker room talk, the comeback was caused by the players, notably senior middle linebacker Lance Hawker-Smith and senior defensive back Grant Smithson really led us in the locker room. And we had a good mentality going into the second half, and we actually won.
So in that second half, Catholic just had way better tackling. Just one thing that you saw right out of the gate, pass coverage seemed to still be lacking somewhat, but luckily there's a few big drops by Northside receivers when they got hit after the catch. And Northside ran the ball a lot in the second half. I didn't really understand that. I guess they were trying to run clock, but they needed to score. Catholic was well-balanced running and passing, but the big plays came through the air. The first touchdown was a 21-yard run by senior running back Brian Alsbrook. The field goal came after a 27-yard pass to senior wide receiver Collins Olamy.
I think that field goal was probably one of the more important plays of the game. It would have been nice to have a touchdown, but Paul Owens, he's a junior, has been struggling on that angle that the field goal came from all during practice, and man, he knocked it through, and that was a huge, huge break for the Rockets, just to be able to put points on the board, and then later come back after that.
So the second touchdown of the game was a 23-yard pass to senior wide receiver Robert Bavon, and the last touchdown came on a screen pass that went for 56 yards to senior running back Brian Alsbrook.
That was awesome.
The Rockets scored 17 unanswered points to take the W in the second half. Northside moved to 2-4. Catholic moved to 4-2. Also 2 weeks ago in Week 7, the Southside Mavericks played the North Little Rock Wildcats at home and lost 28-14.
So this past Friday, the Rockets played at North Little Rock, and we won 41-21. Last year, the Rockets lost 49-17, and it's the first game the Rockets have won at North Little Rock since 2015. That was the game that North Little Rock unveiled their new stadium. Catholic came in and beat them, opening game. So that's a big deal. You could say that it's our house and not North Little Rock's house. We own that place. So the Rockets snapped a 30-game regular season win streak for North Little Rock, dating back to a loss to Cabot in 2015, while there was still a 7A East Conference.
I did not predict this upset to happen. I just thought it would be close. But in hindsight, this is a typical trap game for North Little Rock, who has bigger and faster players, but they didn't play as hard or as smart as the Rockets. The game was tied at halftime, 21-21. The offense looked good, but the defense was giving up some big plays. Most of North Little Rock's touchdowns were like really long runs.
Brandon Thomas. It was all Brandon Thomas.
In the second half, the defense stepped up for the second week in a row, allowing 0 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And Max Preps said they only got 1 interception. I could have sworn they had 2.
We definitely had to.
And 1 fumble recovery that went for 6 points.
Junior Noah Perry, baby. Scoop and score.
So a PAT was blocked at the beginning of the third quarter. That was a scary moment for me watching because the game was so back and forth, tied 21-21, and then we miss a PAT. It's blocked. And I thought we were going to lose because of that 1-point differential. But we didn't need it. We basically blew them out.
We beat them. And they were salty about it. There were so many memes made, and North Little Rock students were telling Catholic students to chill out, but it's funny because if they won, they would have done the exact same thing. It's all fun and games, but they were not happy about this loss.
So to recap, the first touchdown came on a 24-yard pass to senior wide receiver Nathan Johnson. The second was on a 17-yard run from senior running back Brian Olsbrook. The third was on a 12-yard pass to senior wide receiver Collins Olamy. The fourth was on a 15-yard pass to Nathan Johnson. The fifth was a fumble recovery for touchdown that went for 80 yards. And the sixth was a run by Brian Olsbrook as well.
So, the week before the North Little Rock game was Catholic's homecoming. This year was North Little Rock's homecoming. That's a big, big win. In this next week, we're playing Southside. It's their homecoming. So we have 3 homecoming games in a row. We hope to go to Southside and beat them. And for the Rockets, that means we are 2-0 of being Hoco killers.
So this coming Friday, the Rockets will play at the 1-6 Southside Mavericks. Also, after the North Little Rock game, the Rockets sit at 5-2, and North Little Rock moves to 4-3. Now, to avoid confusion, we're going to go over all the games that happened 2 Fridays ago in Week 7. So the undefeated Bryant Hornets played at the Central Tigers and won 55-14. Central moved to 4-2. Bryant moved to 6-0.
Bryant, honestly, is just looking unstoppable. Central has looked very, very good this year. High-powered offense, and they put up 14 points to Bryant. I'm pretty sure that's the most that anyone scored on them. But Bryant just blew them out of the water. And it was at Central. Big win for the Hornets. Tough loss for the Tigers.
That's exactly what I was going to say. 14 is like the most I've seen put up on Bryant. So that's, even though they lost by so many points, that's somewhat impressive.
Yeah, and Central, like we recapped before, has typically been a rollover team this year. I think they're going to be a tough opponent this year. So the North Little Rock Wildcats played at the Southside Mavericks and won 28-14. North Little Rock moved to 4-2, and Southside moved to 1-4. Whenever the Rockets were looking at this game, they saw that Southside is probably the worst team in the conference, and North Little Rock only beat them by 14 points. North Little Rock has not looked as good as they are this year as they have in the past, and so the players of the Rockets were thinking, man, we could get them this week. And we did. We beat them 41-21.
So also in Week 7, the Northside Grizzlies played at the Catholic High Rockets and lost 24-21.
Yeah, they did.
And we've already talked about that game, but Northside moved to 2-4 and Catholic moved to 4-2. Also, the Cabot Panthers played at the Conway Wampus Cats and lost 30-20. Conway moved to 4-2 and Cabot moved to 4-2. Conway is another team that the Catholics hope to upset this year if Conway overlooks Catholic the week before Bryant. They're playing at Catholic. So Cabot is a team that Catholic was also able to beat, and Conway only beat them by 10. So this is not the same team we saw last year that was blowing people out. This Conway and North Little Rock this year are just down.
So the Rockets are undefeated at home, and the Wampus Cats are coming to War Memorial Stadium. I think the Rockets are going to win that game.
So, last Friday in Week 8, the Southside Mavericks played at the Bryant Hornets and lost 55-0.
So Southside moved to 1-6. They have scored 97 points and allowed 225 points. Southside is the worst team in the 7A conference this year. But the thing is, every team in the 7A conference is a good team. And it's the toughest conference in the state. It's a game next week this Friday when the Rockets go to Southside. We're hopefully going to get that win, but we cannot get cocky going in. We have to treat that game just like every other game. We kind of got cocky against Northside and almost got beat, but we came back. For the whole game, we have to execute against Southside and hopefully get that win.
I agree. This is a deep conference. If you look at the West, it's just nowhere near as deep. There's 4 teams at the top and 4 teams that are just not as good. The Central is so hard in that every team can beat pretty much every other team except for Bryant.
Yep. It's kind of similar to the Big 12 in college football. The Big 12, I think you could argue, is one of the more competitive conferences, but there's OU, who just blows people out of the water. So
after that game, Bryant moved to 7-0. They have scored 330 points and allowed only 55 points.
They are nationally ranked at number 14 according to Max Preps.
Also last Friday, the Catholic High Rockets played at the North Little Rock Wildcats and won 41-21. We've already talked about this game, but the Rockets moved to 5-2. They have scored 189 points and allowed for 157 points. North Little Rock falls to 4-3. They have scored 137 points and allowed 130 points.
So the Cabot Panthers played at the Central Tigers and won 42-20. That's pretty surprising, especially Central has been putting up impressive numbers this year. And I think this shows that Central may be vulnerable, but it's still one of those games that the Rockets have to take seriously. Cabot moves to 5-2. They have scored 216 points and allowed 139. Central falls to 4-3. They have scored 225 points and allowed 211 points.
So the Conway Wampus Cats played at the Northside Grizzlies and won 23-20. The Northside Grizzlies are now 2-5. They have scored 173 points and allowed for 182 points. Conway is 5-2. They have scored 163 points and allowed for 129 points. And again, I think this goes to show that Conway is vulnerable because they only beat Northside by 3. That's also a team Catholic was able to beat this year.
And I really think that Northside is a pretty good team. Despite what their record says, they've held teams accountable. They held the Rockets accountable, and they hold Conway. These are teams that are going to be competing for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots and hopefully going to get into a playoff. But Northside is a good team, but I still think that Conway is beatable this year.
So this Friday, October 25th, kicks off Week 9. The Catholic High Rockets play at the Southside Mavericks.
Hoko Killers Part 2, baby! So the number 14 nationally ranked Bryant Hornets play at the Cabot Panthers.
The Central Tigers play at the Conway Wampus Cats.
And the Northside Grizzlies play at the North Little Rock Wildcats.
So, this week's Max Preps Arkansas football top 25. Number 1 is Bryant, who are 7-0. Number 2 is Bentonville, who's 7-0. Number 3 is Little Rock Christian Academy, who's 7-0. Number 4 is Greenwood, who's also 7-0. Number 5 is Bentonville West, who are 5-2. Number 6 is Searcy at 7-0.
They should not be ranked ahead of us.
Number 7 is Catholic, who are 5-2.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Pulaski Academy, who's also 5-2.
They're beneath us.
Number 9 is Harrison, who's 7-0. Number 10 is Conway, who's 5-2. 11 is North Little Rock at 4-3. And North Little Rock won the head-to-head with Conway, so it's pretty interesting that they have North Little Rock ranked 1 behind Conway still. Lake Hamilton is 7-0. They are number 12. And number 13 is Fayetteville at 3-4.
Fayetteville is not looking like the team they usually are. Number 14 is Shiloh Christian. They are 7-0. 15 is Cabot. They are 5-2. 16 is Arkadelphia. They are 6-1. 17 is Springdale Harbor. They're 4-3. 18 is Maumelle. They are 6-1. Number 19 is Robinson. They are 6-1. 20 is Fordyce. They're 7-0. 21 is Jonesboro Valley View. They are 7-0. Number 22 is Jonesboro. They're 5-2. 23 is Little Rock Central. They are 4-3. 24 is Benton. They are 4-3. And number 25 is Fort Smith Northside.
So we've also made our own top 10 like we did a couple weeks ago. The 7A Conference Power Rankings. So I made these rankings, and Shaw can debate me a little bit if he disagrees. So at number 1, I have Bryant. They're 7-0.
That's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, there's
They're
no
good.
argument there at all.
They're
Number
a
2,
very good team.
Number 2 is Bentonville. They're 7-0. Number 3 is Bentonville West. They're 5-2. Number 4 is Catholic at 5-2. 5 is North Little Rock at 4-3. Conway is at 5-2 and number 6. Number 7 is Cabot, who's also 5-2. Number 8 is Harbor, who was previously unranked. I kind of overlooked them, but their defense looks pretty good. They're number 8. Number 9 is Little Rock Central, who's 4-3, and number 10 is Fayetteville, who is 3-4.
So the teams out of the West may be ranked higher soon, but they haven't played well against good teams. The bottom of the West is worse than the bottom of the Central. The Central Conference is just deeper this year so far. Lots of 4-5 win teams still, so there's lots of debate going on. So once again, your Catholic High Rockets are playing at Southside. Hope to go beat them on their homecoming. Game is at 7 o'clock. Go Rockets. The Afterburner is a student-led podcast series that covers sports at Catholic High. It is written, directed, produced, and edited by Walter Flanagan and Caleb Shaw. Thank you to the Catholic High Student Journalism Department for allowing us to use their online platform to post content. The Afterburner can be found at liftoffnews.com.